All right, we just created these materials here in my project and we created them ourselves. But what I'm also going to do now is actually going to use some real textures. I'm going to create a folder called textures. And what I'm going to do now is so we can see materials if we go to all materials or the materials that I actually recreated here. But now I'm going to get some textures in here. And I have already collected them in a folder. So I've downloaded from some official sources from NASA, downloaded these 3 textures, and I'm just going to drag them into my project, and it's going to be just in here in my textures. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to start with Earth. We're just going to drag a drop on Earth, and that is pretty cool. So you can see already, because it's a kind of like a 360-ish, it's actually 360. It really wraps nicely, folds nicely around that sphere. And so we have the moon here, which is pretty cool too. And now, wait for it. We're gonna make it really glow. We have the sun here. Okay, so the sun texture, to be honest, is probably not my favorite, but this is what I have right now. And what happened by me actually dragging these things onto these spheres, Unity actually created additional materials for me. It automatically created an Earth material, a Moon material, and a Sun material. Now, they also were placed into my materials folder. It would have created an assets folder called materials if I hadn't done my own materials before. So these are the ones with uppercase letters are the ones I had created manually before. The ones here with lowercase were created automatically when I took the textures and actually dragged them onto my spheres. But pretty cool, and now it kind of looks like interesting. One thing we could adjust a little bit is when you look at these, not the textures, but the materials here. So the one that we have for the sun, we could play a little bit around with the metalness and smoothness, and I think that looks even more interesting. Although obviously the light would really come out of the sun. I mean, we do have a directional light here in the scene. This is for rendering purposes. We could play around with additional lights and light probes, etc., and make that sun really glow, but that goes a little bit beyond the things I want to show here. And we're gonna also adjust a little bit the way the Earth looks here. I do think that obviously the size differences here are not ideal. It's something I can see a little bit better now that I see the objects in my scene. But in any case, let us just deal with the Earth material here. So we have Earth, that is a sphere, and we have this material here, the Earth material, which I can also then adjust kind of like in here. That metalness should really not be changed. Should we change anything about the smoothness? I am not sure. I mean, this kind of like looks a little bit more fancy. Maybe. Okay. And then for the moon, we're going to do the same. Also look at the moon material that we have here. I can just like click it directly and think about making it smoother, maybe increasing metalness. What do you think? I kind of like it. It's kind of cool. It's very shiny. Okay, so that is a little weird. So we should think about the smoothness. We should probably make it less smooth. And so these are really more like physical properties from physically based rendering. And so they don't really apply too much to our scenario, but if you might be creating a different scene, not a solar system, and so maybe this is something you want to play with as you fine-tune the material. So here's our scene. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it, and we created it quite quickly.